Welcome back, Pokemon fans. Angel of the Night here. We are back with the Team Star Challenge, and as you guys know, this is battle number 45, the final battle in the competition. So I just want to say thank you all very much for sticking it out this long in these video series for this competition. It's very different than my normal uploads. Usually I upload a lot of VGC content, and I just want to say thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have enjoyed this series. Alright, so we started off with Annihilape. They brought in Klefki. We actually ended up swapping out Annihilape because I know this Klefki is going to be a Prankster set. So we ended up coming in with Krookodile here. We actually managed to not get hit by that Thunder Wave. We ended up trying to go for the Earthquake here. We did not hit that Klefki, so that's telling me that I believe, is a Levitate Klefki. So we're going to end up going in for the Rock Slide here. We're going to try to see if we can get some flinching going, but it has gone for the Reflect, and that means that physical-based moves are not going to be as effective. So right off the bat, I know that I'm not going to be able to do very much to this whole Klefki situation. So I'm going to go in for the knockoff here. We're going to actually knock out its Bright Powder. And then it's going to end up going in for the Flash Cannon, which is actually kind of an unusual move. Normally I don't see a whole lot of actual attacking Klefki. So we're going to try to go for the Rock Slide here again, just in case they decide to swap out to a different Pokemon. Obviously not the case. Honestly, I don't know why they would swap out, but I just felt at the time that they would. So unfortunately we get knocked out by a Flash Cannon here, and that leaves us with only two Pokemon remaining, which is the Annihilape and the Revaroom. If in the event that Klefki is actually faster, it might actually potentially get that Thunder Wave off onto the Annihilape there, and if not, I might actually be able to get a decent hit. So we're going to go in for the Terrestrialization to Water here, because obviously if it has any kind of a Fairy-based move, I don't really want to get hit by that, and I know that Water typing is going to be able to resist that Steel-based move. So, here we are. We're going to go in and get Paralyzed now, because obviously they're able to attack first. So I don't know if it's just that my Earthquake missed, or if they were a Levitate Klefki, I have no idea. But we are currently paralyzed here and unable to move, and that means that I'm not able to get my Drain Punch off onto that Klefki. Now, Klefki, of course, is a Steel and Fairy-type Pokemon, so that kind of a situation, I feel like Drain Punch should be able to do some decent amount of damage, and as well get me a little bit of HP back as we go through here. So this is what we're going to try. It obviously does not work the way I thought it was going to. So Reflect has worn off, which means that my physical moves should be able to do more damage, but the little bugger goes in and sets up another Reflect, making all physical moves basically less in power. So we're going to go in for the Bulk Up here to raise our attack stat as well as our defense, in hopes that this might actually help me do a little bit more damage to this Klefki. Now, I'm going to get a little bit greedy here. I'm going to go for another Bulk Up. And the reason I'm going to go for this Bulk Up is because I don't feel like the first one really is going to do very much to help me take out this Klefki. If you guys saw how much damage that Drain Punch did onto that Reflect, you would understand that it's just not going to be what it takes. So we are going to have to boost up a little bit more here, and as you can see, we are going to go in for a Rage Fist. Honestly, I thought Rage Fist might be handy because I thought maybe they would attack with a Steel Beam move or whatnot. Definitely not the case. Definitely did not get hit first. I don't know if this Rage Fist is really going to be able to do much. But if you can kind of see under that little pop-up that I got there, it actually did quite a bit. So I'm thinking to myself, well, you know what, this might actually help. So let's try it again. We might actually try the Rage Fist here one more time. However, we did not do that. We ended up going in for the Drain Punch because I thought I might be hit there again, and well, here we are. We're almost taking out this whole Klefki situation. They're going to go in for the Flash Cannon, and as you can see, it doesn't really do very much damage. They did, however, knock down my special defense, but it did boost up my attack stat, which is pretty fantastic. I will take all of the attack stat boosts, please. So, anyways, long story short, we actually knock out the little Klefki, the little key Pokemon, and that means that there are still two Pokemon remaining on the opposing side. One of them, of course, is the Starmobile Revaroom, and, of course, one mystery Pokemon that has yet to be seen. Now, the nice part about this is that the Reflect has now faded, which means that all my physical moves should be able to do more damage, and I'm pretty pumped up about that. The Pokemon that comes in, of course, is going to be the Revaroom there, and I do have some defensive values completely boosted. And of course, my attack stat is pretty high at this stage. So I'm thinking to myself, you know what, I'm going to be able to go in for an attack here, I'm going to go for the Rage Fist, and Rage Fist might actually be able to take out this whole Revaroom situation. However, it does have a Focus Sash, which is very unfortunate, seeing as how that Revaroom might actually be faster than me at this point. So I'm thinking to myself, well, what can this Revaroom really do to me? Okay, and it does have a boost up, but it has Endeavor. And Endeavor actually does way better if you're inflicted with some sort of a condition or if your stats are very low in health. So here we go, we ended up living, but we actually ended up taking out the Revaroom, which is pretty cool. However, I'm down to 14 hit points here. What am I going to be able to do with a paralyzed Annihilape with 14 HP? Okay, and then this guy comes in. Well, there goes the game, guys, because obviously we're not going to be able to get a good old Drain Punch in here to be able to take this sucker. In comes a Sucker Punch, and it is going to be able to pick up that KO off onto the Annihilape. So unfortunately for me, my 2-star players are now gone. Krookodile is down due to a miscalculation and just poor gameplay against Klefki. And then my star player, the Annihilape, is also taken out as well. Well, guess what? We've got our Starmobile, and we are floating on an air balloon, and we have the capability of going for a high horsepower. Now, do you think this thing is going to go for Tera Steel, or do you think it's going to go for Tera Dark? Well, I can tell you right now it does neither. It ends up going for Tera Water. So that means to me that obviously my high horsepower is not going to be able to do that much damage, because it is going to be able to resist it. So in comes the Brick Break. Brick Break actually does a decent amount of damage, and it also pops my air balloon. But that also means that he should be also able to go for a Sucker Punch here in the next turn as well, which might actually be able to do more damage too. So it's getting really close here, but he ends up not going in for the Sucker Punch, and I actually managed to get my Gunk Shot off. And Gunk Shot manages to poison the King Gambit. Now they end up going in for the Kowtow Cleave, and unfortunately that does the finishing blow. That is the end all of the battle. That's the end of the competition for team number 1. And you know what? I had a blast. If I'm not mistaken, I believe we actually came out positive in this competition. So if we actually take a look here at the actual stats page, we're just going to back out here a little bit. This should actually tell me what my rating is. We're going to quit battling. So right now we're at 1573, and our number is 1079. Now, you know what? This is actually one of the better scores that I've had in any of these competitions. So I just want to do a huge shout out to the Pokemon Company. This competition was a lot of fun. It was challenging. It made you think outside the box.